Hello there, Fur and the Fan friends, and welcome to this week's episode. Last week was quite exciting, wasn't it? Yeah, we had all of our uns to take care of, and we did a lot of undoing also. So this week, what are we going to do? We're going to put all those uns back. So we're going to reinstall our floor. We're going to reinstall our walls. We are going to, we're going to actually install our wheel wells. And then we're going to play with that pesky little partition wall. A lot to look forward to, so stick around. So our first bit of business is to get our sidewalls put back on. And how we're going to do that? We're going to use our hoists. So we'll just bring it down into place. And now we're going to have to turn the trailer in order to line it up with our hoist. Alrighty, there is wall number 1 all installed. We're going to go ahead and get wall number 2, or the door side. Alright, we have all of our bolts tightened down so our walls are snug to our trailer frame on both sides. So now what we need to do is, I know, let's install our wheel wells and see how they fit. I sure hope they fit. Now is our moment of truth. Is this wheel well going to fit? I think it will. We put a lot of work into it. We've rebuilt it. Now let's see if it'll fit. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, that's beautiful. Yep, I like that a lot. That's going to slide there. Push that right up against the wall. Then when we square up this wall, it'll be nice and flush. Push that back slightly out of the door. All right, let's go to the other side. All right, we have our second fender. It's not a fender, this is a wheel well. What's the difference? Well, I think fenders go on the outside and wheel wells go on the inside. Uh-oh, it's snug up front. Oh, there we go. Oh, thought we'd have to rebuild that for a minute. All righty, that looks good. Nice and flat on that right there. And that is a wrap for the wells. Now it's time to put our floorboards back onto the trailer. I did find one little issue which I already knew was going to happen. That's another reason why I took up the floorboards. Now that we have our wheel wells in place, our floorboards, they don't fit between our two wheel wells. So it looks like we're going to have to take out probably about a ½ inch or so on each side so that we can put the floorboards back in their original spot and use the original holes that holds the boards down. So why don't we go ahead and we'll mark this board here. We'll go to our chop saw and we'll cut it off and we'll see how it fits. Okay, so what we're doing now is we are just re-drilling the holes through the aluminum. And we already have holes in our steel frame, obviously. So we're just drilling holes to reattach our floorboards. Oops, I almost forgot. We need to put in our little spline. Okay, now with our spline in, now we can push our piece of wood back. There, that took a little finagling. We have that, our spline. Now put our screw in there. And I'm actually changing out our galvanized screws to our stainless steel screws. Galvanized screws, the ones, at least the ones I have, the nuts are kind of loose on them. So, and I don't know if it's because of how it was galvanized or what, but I really can't get it to tighten. So I'm going to go ahead and just put our stainless steel screws on it. Now before I go on to drilling the next holes and putting the next piece of wood in and so forth to close this up, there's one more thing we need to do. And it was on the original trailer plans where they ran a plank from on the underside of the floor from back here all the way to the front, and that kind of tied all these boards together in the center to make it so it's a little more rigid. And we're going to do the same thing before we close all this up. I cut our center board here, and now we're just going to go ahead and secure it in place with some bolts. That should hold it nice and tight. Gotta have a nut. Was that commercial? Sometimes you feel like a nut, bomb, bump, sometimes you don't. Okay, I said I'd never sing on these, so sorry. And we'll go ahead and finish installing this centerpiece and get back to putting in the rest of our floor. Well, here we are. We are back to where we basically started, except for there has been some improvements. As you can see, we have, obviously our walls are up. The wheel wells have been installed. There are bolts along the way here, along the way there. And the lip of our wheel wells is being held down by those bolts. We'll also attach the wheel well to our walls. As you can see down the center here, you can see a couple of rows of bolts. Those actually are bolted to a strap of, those are actually bolted to a strap of wood that's underneath here, which makes that really rigid. It was a little bit soft before, and even though this isn't our final floor, I did want it to be nice and solid. So now I'm very confident in this structure. For a time there, I thought we was going to have to redo the bottom of our partition wall. But now that the fenders are in place, I think we might get away with leaving it just how it is. Let's put it in and see how it fits. This is probably, well, not the important wall, but it's one of the most important because it keeps our trailer straight or perpendicular, parallel. It keeps it square. That's it. It keeps it square. That's the right way? Yes. No. This is the right way. Okay, we're banging on a lot of walls, so that must mean it's going to be a good fit. Oh, I like that. Yeah. You know what? We don't have to rebuild this thing or adjust it at all. Yes. Now the important part of this whole partition wall and fenders is the distance between this part of the wall and out here. Remember, our ice box goes in here. I don't want to rebuild the ice box. I mean, I'm going to rebuild the ice box, but I don't want to have to adjust the top of it. So let's get a tape measure and see where we are. We've had some really good luck so far. Here's one. Remember it from our last episode of measuring? Okay, we're going to do some measuring. Here out to here, that is 29 3/4. Let's go measure our ice box. Our ice box is 29 3/4. So what does that mean? It means we're going to be tight, and we may have to not redo the lid of the ice box, but there's about 3 or 4 inches of extra metal that they tacked on that'll go back here to the hinge side. We can play with that just a little bit. We have a brand new brake that we can use to bend that piece up just about 1 inch, 1.5 inches to slide our ice box towards the wall. And that way we don't have to rebuild everything we've already done. Now you may be asking, why did we rebuild everything we've already done? Well, it all started with the fenders. Actually started with more than that, but it all started with the fenders. I really wasn't going to be happy with the arched fenders. I really wanted to reuse as much of this old trailer as I could, but I just wasn't happy with how that was going to turn out. So with our brand new boxed wheel wells, I think that, and with our partition wall, our panels, the next thing to do is the floor. Well, that's a wrap for this week's video. Please join us next week when we talk about a cardboard, wood, and insulation sandwich. I wonder if I'll get my fiber.